going to look at 3 different methods for dividing a fraction by a whole number. So if we have a fraction like a over b, and we are asked to divide it by a whole number c, there are 3 ways we can go about doing it. In the first approach, we want to look at our numbers and try to figure out if our numerator is evenly divisible by our whole number, then we can just divide a by c and keep our denominator b. So if it's even, we can have a divided by c in our numerator and b stays the same in our denominator. So let's look at an example of this with a number. If we are asked to take the fraction 6/9 and divide it by the whole number 3, then we look and see here that 6 is divisible by 3. So all we need to do in this problem is, in our numerator, do 6 divided by 3 and keep our denominator of 9, and we'll end up with the answer of 2/9. If the numerator is not divisible by the whole number c, then we have to do a little different method. So if we have an example of a problem where our numerator is not evenly divisible by the whole number c, then what we need to do is we need to take our whole number c and think of it as c over 1. Any whole number is just that whole number over 1. And then we invert to 1 over c. We flip our c over 1 over, and we make it 1 over c. And then we're going to change the operation from division to multiplication, and we're going to multiply our fraction by 1 over c. So let's look at an example of this. If we have, for example, the problem 2/5 divided by the whole number 3. Well, I can see that 2 is not divisible by 3, so I'm going to have to use this second approach of finding the inverse of my whole number and multiplying. So I'm going to take my whole number 3, and I'm going to imagine it as 3 over 1. And then the inverse of that is flipping over, and it's going to convert to 1/3, and I'm going to multiply. So this number here is the inverse of my whole number, 1/3. I change my division sign to multiplication, and I keep my first fraction here the same. And what I end up with is 2/5 divided by 3, or 3 over 1, is the same as 2/5 times 1/3. And so then I just do the problem by multiplying across my numerators, 2 times 1, and multiplying across my 2 denominators, 5 times 3, and I end up with the answer of 2/15. So put my answer up here with my problem. 2/5 divided by 3 equals 2/15. Now, the third approach, or the third method, is a little shortcut of this invert and multiply method. So you can see in this problem that I ended up with my numerator just being the same, because when I flipped over my whole number and made it 1 over my whole number, I ended up just multiplying my numerator by 1, which keeps it 2, which keeps it what it was. So my numerator stayed the same, and I ended up multiplying my denominator here by this whole number 3. I ended up multiplying 5 times 3, which is 15. So we can use that little shortcut of keeping the numerator the same and multiplying our denominator by the whole number that we're dividing by. So let's look at an example of that using an actual number. So if I am asked to do 3/5 divided by 4, and I check first and see if 3 divided by 4 will give me a whole number, and it won't, so I know I have to use my invert and multiply method. But the shortcut to that is to just keep my numerator the same at 3 and actually multiply my whole number by my denominator. So ending up then with 3 in the numerator and then 4 times 5 in my denominator. And so 3/5 divided by 4 is 3/20.